Hello, my friend, and welcome to Wisdom Trek. I am Guthrie Chamberlain, your guide to wisdom and creating a living legacy. Thank you for joining us for our 5-day-per-week wisdom and legacy building podcast. This is day 649 of our trek, and it is time for our Mindshift Monday series. Wisdom Trek's primary focus is to assist you in creating your living legacy. Creating your living legacy can only be accomplished by gaining wisdom in many areas of life. You can only gain wisdom by changing what you allow to go into your mind, which is a result of changing the way you think. In other words, you must choose to be in the continual mode of mind shift, or changing the way you think. It is easy to get stuck in a mindset of your current circumstances and think that they cannot be changed. This is just not true, but you must understand this fundamental principle. In order to change your life, you must change how you think and what you think about. Our Mindshift Monday podcast and journal will provide you with practical ways to make a mind shift to a rich and satisfying life. We are broadcasting from our studios at the Big House in Marietta, Ohio. As mentioned in a couple of the previous podcasts, I am podcasting and journaling the details of my July 8th major fall accident and recovery on the Tuesdays and Thursdays Wisdom Nugget episodes. If you'd like to follow along with me, the first episode was wisdom-trek.com/day-645. Even with unexpected major life events, we can continue to positively look toward the future and what we can learn by those events. Our mindset is very important with every aspect of life. If your first inclination is to think negatively, then a mind shift is required. You cannot get trapped by your current situation and feel that there is no way to change it. Last week I encouraged you to imagine life as it could be. Imagine is great and needed, but imagination without action is pointless. You need to take action. You might be thinking, if I take action, I will make mistakes. Well, that's very true. You certainly will. So on our trek for today, I desire for you to have a mind shift that will allow you to realize that you don't need to avoid mistakes. In most Western cultures, we try to avoid mistakes and failures as if they were some sort of deadly plague. This may be based on the Judeo-Christian foundations of our culture, and for many of us reinforced by our Christian upbringing. Somehow we have twisted mistakes and failures to be equated with sin, which is falling short of God's standards. While it is true that we all fall short of God's standards and need salvation, we cannot allow our failures and mistakes to be equated with sin. If we do, we will avoid a mind shift, which is changing how you think and what you think about. We will be stuck in the same ruts day after day and wondering why our lives do not improve. While we should be learning from our mistakes and failures, they are the very essence of stepping stones needed to create a mind shift in our lives. Here are 3 common misconceptions that leave most people stuck in the ruts of life. The first one is believing that mistakes are always to be avoided. The reason people try to avoid mistakes is that they feel that they are a sign of failure or weakness. Mistakes can and should be learning experiences. If you haven't made any mistakes lately, I question whether you are really pursuing the change that you desire in your life. You have not explored all the trails that lie before you on your trek of life. Not all the streams have been forged, and not all the summits have been conquered. We learn from our mistakes. A person cannot grow and learn without making mistakes. Sometimes they will be big, and sometimes small, and the lessons learned will be in proportion to the size of the mistakes. Perhaps we would learn more from our mistakes if we were not so busy denying that we make them. Fear of making mistakes have kept many people from having a true life change. When you make a mistake, you can resolve never to make another one, but that is an impossible resolution if you truly desire a mind shift. You can decide that mistakes are too costly and become fearful of them, but that fear will keep you from fulfilling your true potential. You can constantly think about your mistakes and live a stifled life of regret, but that is the same as self-torture. The choice that you need to make is to learn all that you can from your mistakes and continue the mind shift that will allow you to make the changes that you desire in your life. The second common misconception is thinking that success comes naturally to those who are brilliant and talented. History has proven that people who are successful is not because they are also brilliant. The story goes that there was a young man learning to become a trapeze artist, and he received some excellent advice from his teacher who said, "Throw your heart over the bar, and your body will follow." No matter what you are pursuing, if you throw your heart into it, you are more likely to achieve it. The degree of success that you do achieve depends on the amount of the sincere desire that you possess. Persistence is needed for you to become an achiever. Success never is instantaneous. It is never by accident, although it may be achieved through the many lessons learned from our mistakes and failures. Success is a slow trek on the mountains and valleys of life. It takes growth and development. It's achieving one level and using that as a stepping stone to rise higher on the mountain of accomplishment. The true measure is not the status that you have reached in life, but what obstacles that you have overcome to reach your desired goals. Obstacles are overcome by persistence. And the third common misconception is refusing to change when there is a need to change. A humorous story I heard about an old gentleman who was approaching his 100th birthday. A newspaper reporter went to interview him. Approaching the elderly man politely, he said, "Sir, you must have seen a great many changes during the past 100 years. The old man gazed steadily at him for a moment, then replied, "Yes, and I'm against all of them." While this story is humorous, the man's attitude is the attitude of far too many people as well. It is so easy to get stuck in a rut and let the world pass you by while you remain in that miserable comfort of that rut. Now, I grew up on a farm, and the tractor would leave ruts in the lanes. Once deep enough, it was almost easier to allow the tractor's wheels to remain in the ruts and just follow them without steering. The problem is that the ruts were much rougher, and the more that the ruts were used, the deeper they got. It is time to force yourself from your ruts of life onto a higher road that will actually take you to where you want to go much more smoothly and quicker. People resist change because it takes energy, desire, and persistence to do something different. It is always easier to stay in the same ruts of life, but you cannot reach the higher ground that way. Just like it was difficult at times to force the tractor out of the rut onto smoother ground, so we need to do the same with our lives. It does take a mind shift to pull out of those ruts. Be willing to make mistakes and learn from them. We can only grow when we change. As the Apostle Paul wrote in Romans chapter 5, verse 4, "We can rejoice too when we run into problems and trials, for we know that it helps us to develop endurance, and endurance develops strength of character, and character strengthens our confident hope of salvation." And with these thoughts in mind, we will conclude our trek for today. And as we do, don't be afraid to make mistakes, because they are teaching tools that will allow us to have a mind shift. It all begins in your mind. Next week, we will continue our trek on Mindshift Monday. On tomorrow's trek, we will continue with my journal of my recent accident and recovery. And tomorrow, we will look at the surgery. I appreciate you allowing me to share my story so that we can all grow from the life lessons learned the hard way. Thank you for joining me on this trek that we call life. Encourage your friends and family to join us, and then come along with us tomorrow for another day of Wisdom Trek, creating a legacy. If you'd like to listen to any of the past daily treks or read the daily journal, they are all available at wisdom-trek.com. You can also subscribe to iTunes and Google Play so that each day's trek is downloaded to you automatically. And thank you so much for allowing me to be your guide, your mentor, but most importantly, I am your friend, as I serve you through the Wisdom Trek podcast and journal. And as we take this trek of life together, let us always live abundantly, love unconditionally, listen intentionally, learn continuously, lend to others generously, lead with integrity, and then leave a living legacy each day. I am Guthrie Chamberlain, reminding you to keep moving forward, enjoy your journey, and then create a great day every day. See you tomorrow.